we are learning to heal from our sad moments, traumas, and stresses through journaling, counseling, and learning to love ourselves. Through our connections, we are empowering our bodies, our minds, and our spirits. We are ready for our vulnerable moments and facing our storms, our fears, and our lives. Living single. We are healed, empowered, and ready. Good evening, everyone. It is so great to see you here tonight. So first thing, before we bring on our guests, there's a couple of household items that we're going to go through just for a few moments. So in order for us to see your comments and your questions for tonight, because I'm sure you're going to have them for this evening, I want you to go ahead and make sure that you allow StreamYard permission to make comments to see your comments on Facebook. So you have to say yes to that link. In order to come on StreamYard and make your comments, and we are monitoring. We are also on YouTube tonight on my Empowered channel. So you can look at those two places, but you still have to give StreamYard permission so that we can see your comments on there. So go ahead real quickly and do that. The other thing I want to make sure that you do is that you go into the group. For those of you who are here, I see y'all coming on, and go ahead and click files into the group, and you'll be able to download your workbook for tonight. The workbook was written just for this series, journaling for series for singleness, okay? So it's written just for this series, and there's some aspects that we're gonna go over tonight that you may want to have your workbook out and ready. So it is on the Facebook Empowered group. You wanna go there and check out the files there so that you can follow us throughout tonight. Now, we have been talking about living single from various aspects for the past 2 weeks. Now, week 3, I decided to ask someone to come on and give us the male perspective. So it's kind of not easy just hearing one side, a female perspective all the time. It's good to get another perspective and just to see what we can learn, how we can hear. And I thought about one of the most honest people on the face of this earth that will keep you laughing, which is my little brother, Bryant Stewart. He is hilarious if you get to know him. He's real, but he cares and has had different experience, just like his older sister, when it comes to dating. So I thought, being a current single man, he would be able to speak to us and give us some ideas and clues. And you're welcome to ask any questions that you would like. Inside of your, if you're on YouTube or if you're on Facebook, we are monitoring the questions as they come on. So I'm gonna bring in Pastor Stewart, who is in backstage just having a good old time. So we're gonna bring him on, and I'm gonna unmute his mic. Good evening, Bryant. Brian, I call him. Yes.
What's going on? What's going on? What's happening?
How are you doing?
I'm nervous. It's a little pressure. You done called me the most honest. Now I can't lie.
You don't. You speak up front. I need you to be comfortable. And mind you, I need to tell everybody I did not prep my brother for this interview. He's not being paid for this interview. You,
That's the
you're
problem. So
not
let's have the first conversation of being single and online. Okay, get your coin. Don't let nobody have you up here for free, because you know.
listen, family discount, okay? Family
Okay,
discount.
okay. I just want to
I
make
need
sure
to
we keep the main thing the main thing. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, we got to survive. We got to survive.
family discount, family discount. But anyway, so I didn't prep him. So everything that's coming, that's hearing tonight, is real to life, honest, God's truth. It's gonna come just as it flows because I want it to be a natural experience about living single and more importantly, authentic.
Mm.
So like I did a couple of our series that I've been doing, I've been trying to get to that point so people can see some transparency. Now, before we get into the heart of the matter, and as people are coming on and may have some questions, I want to encourage you, wherever you're looking from, please go ahead and start asking questions as we begin to start talking about these topics, because it's very rare that you actually get a man who actually wants to talk to women and be real.
Oh Lord.
And be the only one. Let me just point that out as you come on. So if you have the opportunity, ask the questions that you wouldn't be able to ask anybody else. Being honest about living single, especially in this day and age. So before we go on, can you tell us a little bit about what has been some of your experiences? What do you think? Let's just start there. I don't need details. I don't want to
Okay.
out. No. What? I saw his face like what? Huh? Like
You want
what?
those?
What has it been living single? Like what really? What has it been?
Living single for me, I think, has been a bit different than living single for a lot of other people, primarily because of my job, but secondarily because of uh, the game's changing, and there's got to be something inside of you that has the confidence or the mindset to allow you to ebb and flow into the different brain spaces that you need to occupy. Um, for example, I had a very toxic opinion of what a man was growing up, as well as some of my friends. One of my friends, his opinion was if I live with my mom, I can't really offer a young lady nothing to look forward to. Me personally, I knew, I guess from Oakwood and being on the humble in the dorm, right? That there was a lot of things that you could do to impress a young lady, though you did not have a space on your own. And both opinions are still toxic, right? In that I don't need to have the opinion that I'm out of the game because I was living with my mother for 5.5 years, working 3 jobs. No more than he needs to feel that he's out of the game because he lives with his mother and he's a military veteran, a war veteran, and currently working as a corrections officer for the city of Jeffersonville. So it was just a lot of details that there's a lot of toxicity in our expectation of being single, as much as there's a lot of pressure in the ability to perform
Mhm.
under the same time frame, and the two are incredibly different things, incredibly different.
So tell me a little bit about because you mentioned that your mindset or where you got your formulation of being a male wasn't always positive. Can you tell me how that has had an effect without, making, Mr. Stewart, because he's an amazing man. We've grown, we've grown.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but how has that the parts, the experiences, the bad experiences or the lack of, how did that formulate you as a male? And then how did that affect your relationships?
When you have a bad relationship with your father, predominantly your list is not what to be, it's what not to be. And I've learned that the evidence of of positive changes, positive um, character development is closely rooted in your first experience with what to become. You can have the evidence of the same thing, and there be two different motivators for the same thing, and come out with two totally different results. So, for example, one would think that my example of being a hardworking young man and respectful to his mother would be my observation of my father.
Mhm.
Predominantly, my motivation for being respectful and adorning of my mother and all women that I date was because of what my father was not. He's
Mhm.
grown at his older age to become that. But majority of my motivation is not because of what my father was. It's because of what he was not and what I said I would do. And so as a result, the motivation has now become, as every woman would expect, right? How a young man treats his mother is how you can expect him to treat you. And that is true. However, the issues is I can go too far. I had to learn limitations. I had to learn boundaries. I had to learn I'm not my mother's man. As much as I also had to learn it's not my job to will a woman to do the right thing. It's her job to do so. And that I have my boundaries of how far I can and cannot go, as much as she has her boundaries of where she is expected and not expected to go. And a lot of that, I believe, would have been uh, cultured within me better
Mhm.
if I had a better experience from my father. Better yet, the one that he has with his current wife versus the one he had with my mother, who's his ex-wife.
So it affected your relationships how? So we
Oh my
talked.
gosh, I did too much. I did way too much. Um, in relationships, you need to earn your position, man or woman, in that person's life. Uh, we need to legitimately prove ourselves every day. Every day is a proving ground, not with the anxiety or the pressure of perfection, but the daily continuum of is this person somebody that I not only can see myself with, but every day I'm proud to be with them. And
Right.
that's not something a lot of people can say because I would suggest we married for something else other than that.
Mm.
Whether it be convenience, sex life, caught up with a baby, business opportunities, and we got a lot of we're a lot more business minded in this generation, and the older generation was a lot more convenience minded or dream minded, and so they tend to fall prey to very 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 um, simple reasons to
Right.
be together. But
Right.
I can tell you this that in this time of day, I think the greatest thing to say is not only do I respect who I'm with, but I'm proud of who I'm with. That though they have their flaws, that woman still gives me an honor of respect and pride and ego. She does that for me, and that's just my take. I can't speak for other fellows, but I can definitely speak for myself and my genre of man, quote unquote.
I loved how you tied that together about, overdoing
Mhm.
based on past connections. Because one of the things we keep on talking about is how our past dictates communication, love,
True.
dictates how we treat people, dictates. And yours, for a lot, and I've heard that from a lot of males who did not have a great relationship with their fathers, is it's what I wasn't trying to become.
Mhm.
Or, and I'm speaking from the female perspective, a lot of times for us, even trying not to become, you actually do become,
You become the exact thing.
because some of us are still living with our parents till a certain age, and
We're
even
still
though
trying to outrun that thing.
even though we see things that of them that aren't what we would like to have or what we would like to do in the future, we are still coming to the fact of we're still doing the same things, we're
Oh
still
yeah.
being the same ones. I watched a movie last night, asking God, where are you? And it's about a young boy who just went through so many trials from when he was little. His parents, they live in Africa, and this is a Caucasian little boy, and went to this place, and his parents were trying to mend relationships, and the both of them just left him there in Africa. So the lady who was, I know, the lady, but this is a true story. The lady who was taking care of the place, an African, excuse me, at that time, she took him to her house because they're like the parents abandoned him. And because of the, the racism mindset, her family and her friends were like, you're crazy because you can't bring this child here. Long story short, he went through consistent um, just being removed
Mm,
from love or being removed from good places because his parents were not in their right mindset.
mm,
So that place he learned how to love for years, and then got another brother, which he would have never had. Now he's yanked up because the police say your mother wants you back in where she lives.
okay.
So he grows up to be an angry person. He has now this family. He starts dating. He has this family, and no, he has resources along the way to try to tell him stop fighting, stop working so hard because he has that overcompensation. Everything he did, school, whatever the case may be. And he's now married and he sees himself treating his family the same way. He has one child, he has a daughter, and his daughter says, "Can you and mom just try to work things out?"
Mm,
And he's like, "I'm trying, but your mother's changed." And he just puts of course, it's
yeah.
everybody else's fault at this time. Long story short, he goes on, his daughter invites him to church and he changes his life. But here God comes still giving the test. His wife and daughter end up in a very bad car accident, and now we're battling brain damage. But I'm bringing all of this up to say that we're going to constantly have tests. We're going to have to constantly have situations. How can we not, especially living single, make our situations our lives? Make them dictate our feelings, our emotions, how we treat people. How can we come from that? I know I said a whole lot. Brian's
Two
like, wait,
things.
let me
Right.
tell
Uh, Number one, therapy. Uh, and I only say that because a lot of us don't have a safe space or a safe person to talk to. And majority of us are the reason why they're not safe, not because they're not safe. Um,
Say it again.
okay, majority of the time it's us who do not feel safe, not them being unsafe space.
Mm,
Um,
mm,
because a lot of people um, do well with not telling your business. I think that
mhm,
sometimes we have a hard time perceiving their position
mhm,
because we see their levels of humanity. And as
mhm,
a result, we don't always trust their advice, though, to be honest with you. Their humanity makes them oftentimes the perfect person for advice.
mhm.
It's very interesting. But nevertheless, go to a non-biased person, uh, an unbiased party, and make sure that you get therapy. Um, the second thing is stop living your life out of fear.
Mhm,
I'm saying that again.
mhm,
If you are motivated to make a decision because of what you don't want to be,
mhm,
then you are motivated by the wrong thing.
mhm,
It's a revelation I've recently come to is
mhm,
that I am no longer living my life according to the idea of what I don't want to become.
mhm,
I'm living my life with the boundaries of what I want to become. And that changes everything. It changes the amount of pressure you put on yourself to get things done. It changes the amount of anxiety you have to be efficient. It changes the amount of investment, whether it's time frame. It also even teaches you how to dial back, just dial back. And I mean, just dial back in some of the most healthiest of ways to disengage yourself from a very rigorous schedule.
mhm,
Um, and I can tell you right now, with the society that we have, rigorous is all of our schedules.
mhm,
Okay, and some days I don't know how much COVID was a blessing, how much it was a curse, because what it has done is it's taken away the safe space in some instances of the sanctity of our dorm rooms to our homes, to our living rooms, and it's taken over that area to where now where do I go to rest? Where's my sanctuary to lay down my burdens? And there's another group of people where we've been fortunately laid off or Our jobs were incredibly engaging, and now people are getting to see the level of efficiency that we have. And so there's no need for us to continuously be caught up. But the reality of it is, regardless of which group you have, uh, the acknowledgement of I've done all I can do for now is something that I think you will begin to accept when you change the motivation for why you press.
So I want you to hold on to that thought. We're going to go to another question, but I see a
Sorry.
comment slash question. You know, you're fine here in the chat, and I want to bring it up. The Facebook user says, interesting that you had to overcompensate or felt like you had to do more to take the place of your dad, question mark. I am a divorced mom of 2 boys, so this is very
Mm-hmm.
interesting. What would you say to her?
Yes,
Say yes, what?
yes, yes. As a divorced mom of 2 boys, your boys know what dad did. They saw it from their observation or even to the lack thereof. They saw it. They felt the mistreatment of you, or they felt the confusion. They felt the discord in your family. And as a result, you will find out that they will do within their little power. And I don't know how grown or old they are, but I can only speak for myself. When I was 6 years old, my father got divorced. My father and my mother got divorced. The divorce began somewhere around 4 and 5, right? So one of my very things that I tried to do, right? My mother had an alarm system put on the house because my dad was the alarm system. He was the gun. He was the guy that locked the doors and the windows. He's the Bigfoot in the house, right? My dad walks across the house, you know it. And when you no longer feel the comfort of that power and that strength and that threat to the rest of humanity of a man, that if they cross you, that my man, my daddy's got me, it causes an extreme recollection of things that I need to jump into. So I can flat out tell you, I went out and bought little barrier crossers. And if somebody crossed the barrier of your door,
Mm-hmm.
that the alarm would go off. Now, not realizing it's as simple as just stepping over it.
Mm-hmm.
But I took my little birthday money, went to a spy store, and bought a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of these little rectangular beams, and it would aim to New Jerusalem if somebody crossed the barrier. Now, it predominantly aggravated everybody in the house because all of us use the restroom at the night, in the night and creep through the house, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it aggravated people more than it actually solved the problem. But that was my version of stepping up. And because of it, now my mother feels the need that rather than me learning from observation, she feels the need for me to step in to take the load off of her. And so, Brian, when you came in the house, did you put the chain on the door? Did you
Mm-hmm.
lock the door? Whereas in our household, I believe I never saw the storm door closed at night, at daytime. When my
Mm-hmm.
father left, it was closed all the time. We closed the storm door. We locked it. It had a little latch for the little push part. Then we closed the security door. It was a deadbolt, a hand turn, and a chain. And then when we got in, you hit pound, 3 to stay in the house.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody broke a window, they broke a door, they broke anything that was outside, we knew it. And that presence and that lack of threat that need to step up for a woman, your sons immediately feel that. They feel it overnight. The mere fact that your mother goes from doing the dishes with her husband to where she washes and he dries and puts them away to now I'm washing the dishes and my mother's drying and putting them away. That mere substitution, immediately you feel it. I mean, just the mere fact that I got to 29 years old and realized I never heard my father pray. Just pray for me. Not pray in church as the deacon, not pray over the food at the table because we're at a family barbecue. I mean, God bless my son. Order his steps for the day. Don't ever remember that. And in the presence of that, you got to understand. I'm still going to school with Michael Jordan shoes on, but Air Force Ones. People are still getting shot in the 90s for sneakers. It was like an anomaly at the time. People are still getting jumped at bus stops. There's a lot that's still happening. And the things that you, as a son, the same security that a wife and a feel from
Brian, I can't hear you. You're
Am I back now? Am I back
say
now?
yes.
Okay. The same levels in presence that you feel as a woman, right, is the same level of presence and security that we feel as sons. And it's different, but it's the exact same. That example and that learning engagement is different, but it's the exact same.
Okay, so here's what I have a comment here, and I need to address this. So we have a Facebook user who says life coaching can help jog mindsets. This is true, and I do
Yes.
encourage life coaching. Being one myself, I wholeheartedly do. I always say though, sometimes in some situations, please recognize when a licensed psychologist needs to be available, and those times, sometimes even for me, sometimes are hard because people know how to mask very well. So I do encourage life coaching. I just encourage all my colleagues
Mhm.
and coaches around to just recognize when you're tipping Pandora's box
Mhm.
for a person, especially if they never admit to having a history of counseling. But I think that's a great mindset about life coaching does jog mindsets. I have another comment here. Had to take a mandatory divorce. I think this is the same person. Yes, this is the
Okay.
same person. Had to take a mandatory divorce parenting course. And they brought in all the kids that told all the divorcing parents to take care of themselves and get their own therapy so that the kids wouldn't feel the burden. The kids were sad to the divorce or said to the divorcing parents and apologize and acknowledge it's not their fault. Um,
Mm.
being a child of divorce, understanding that I don't think my parents ever said, did my mom ever say? I remember I was 6 myself
Mm.
when parents got divorced. So I do think um, my parents, I don't remember, let me say that. My parents saying, I'm sorry, it's not your fault as a child. I don't remember that. I know my mom
Mm.
tried to do everything she could to make sure it wasn't as hard of a transition.
Mm.
As a female, that was rough because the like you said, the security of the man,
Mhm.
that's gone. At least you could kind of mimic that for your mom, but I didn't have a mimic. I just that was gone. Um, that was very. I'm glad you brought that up.
Mhm.
Monique, because I can't see who you are on StreamYard. Thank you for bringing that up. But I want
Mhm.
to, move from this because we've talked about the past and we've talked about how it has affected you. Current day, was asked a question by a female, and I need to bring it to you as a male. Here's the scenario. You ready?
Oh, dear
You
Lord.
ready? Let's
All right.
go.
Let's see.
Okay.
All right.
Great. So here's the situation. Thank you so much, Monique. Here's the situation. You had to drink for that? Okay. So the situation is simple. The young lady states, well, I've been seeing this guy for a while,
Mhm.
and we have had sexual encounters, and whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
I need you for a moment, just, no judging, no whatever. But now he's disappeared. He's gone. Okay. But hey, 2 years later, I had the same scenario. I did it all over again. Okay.
Different man.
Huh?
Different man.
Different man. Same
Okay.
scenario.
All right.
Okay. We meet, we talk. They're great. They're wonderful. We engage, have relations, and then it just dies. Okay. A couple
Yeah.
years later, same thing all over again. Different male. Okay. What do you say to somebody? I know what I would say as a female, but what from the male perspective, not really knowing who they are, not knowing their backgrounds, not knowing anything. what just generally as a male is going on with a female who, you know, gives the green light from the beginning? What is going on in your mind as a male?
My answer is you're still looking for love. You are looking for it. And no shade to you that I understand the desire to be loved. And you're jumping in both feet. Um, and the issue is, I'm sure that you're hearing people say everything that you need to hear. Not even that they're lying, but maybe their definitions are not the same as yours are. And what I'm discovering, or what I think could be one of two things, is either you have a different definition than they do, and uh, man. All right, look, I'm just gonna say it. I'm not gonna be eloquent about this. Man, you looking for love in all the wrong places, and the issue seems to be that you're trying to get these men to love you the way they should, and they're not. And the truth is, either you're getting played time and time again because you keep choosing the same type of man with a different face, different name, and a different body, and or the other issue is true that you're meeting exactly yourself in them, and that they are afraid of something else. And so every time that reoccurrence happens, you jumping in, you jumping out. And so I'm just going to keep it real with you. Stop trying to cheat the process. Remember when I said make people earn it? One of the things that happened when I got divorced, yeah, I'm a divorced person as well. One of the things that I learned when I got divorced and married was that my wife and I built bridges we never crossed. And then after you cross the bridge, make sure that the bridge works for both of you. And then determine if you need to reconstruct the bridge or not. Some things sound good until you do them. It sounds easy to forgive a man for cheating or a woman for cheating until she cheats on you. It sounds good. Death do us part. Until you living in a house with a bitter individual. You be ready to kill yourself, and then that'll be where death does you apart. All I'm saying is that man, look, it feels like you're looking for love in all the wrong places and you cheat in the process. You gotta make them earn it. You remember how I was talking about earning in the beginning? They gotta earn you as much as you gotta earn them. Because whatever's causing them to be flighty is something that's in them, that you keep choosing the same person time and time again. Because I really bet these are really good dudes. I bet they have really good hearts, really good intentions. I bet you they have a lot of really good things for some of them, and then others of them, they may not be worth a blood nickel. But the reality of it is, whichever version you picking the same one.
So I said I told the person I wasn't going to answer their question until after you spoke. And here's my thing. So I had to ask them, what type of woman are you trying to be? When I say that, I'm phrasing it as, are you trying to be a Christian single person? Or are you trying to be a non-Christian single person? Depending on your beliefs will answer how, depending on how I'm going to answer you. Either way, my answer would probably be the same, because we don't necessarily take time to get to know people. I agree with what you said. We don't become friends. We're in this microwave generation. Everything has to happen right now. And then we ask questions later. Oh, he's fine. Oh, she cute. Oh, let's go.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Y'all, we make 30-year commitments off of an hour visit.
Hey, say it.
Can I tell you how life tries to rush and pressure you? Like, you rarely think about the type of purchase person or buyer you are. You walk into a store for lipstick,
Mhm.
cologne, da, da, da.
Yes.
And think about it. It took you, if you're a college student or even if you're a grown adult, it took you
Yeah.
2 to 3 hours to earn the money to buy that $75 perfume. And within a 5 minute experience at a store, at Macy's, Mac, a cologne store, an outlet store, I don't know where it is, but whatever. After 30 seconds possibly of smelling this joint, you willing to waste 5 hours worth of investment over it. Same thing
Mhm.
happens with houses. We only
Mhm.
get to do an hour visit in these houses. And the way houses are flying off the market right now, they are running off the market. I mean, a house is listed one day, it is sold the next day. Okay.
Mhm.
And do y'all hear me? If it ain't sold in the same day. And in this present moment in time, I'm just going to keep it real with y'all. We make a
Mhm.
30 year commitment at, at maximum off of a 1 hour trip. If you are worth,
Mhm. That's that right there. Say it again. If you are.
if you are worth 30 years
Mhm.
worth of an investment, don't you believe that you need more than an hour worth of experience? Whether
So
it be sex life and so many other things. I just like, I'm not gonna be a pastor to be super judgy, but I just want to be
yes,
super transparent. That
right,
literally, if you worth 30 years and a divorce,
right.
then don't you need more than a year worth of examination or 6 months worth of like? And I'm not saying to take forever, but or be ridiculous, especially when you got a word from the Lord. And even when you got a word from the Lord, still take the time to do the work. But all I'm saying is just make sure that you are, you know what I'm saying? Make sure you understand the value of what you present, the value and the opportunity of these moments, and what all those things look like measured together. I'm sorry.
Mhm. So, a majority of the clients, practically all the clients that I talk to are Christian based. And a
Okay.
lot of it has to do with my background in ministry. So, this is why I come up with that question, because then it helps me guide them and see where their mindset is about the
Mm-hmm.
issue and then move forward from there. But the other
Mm-hmm.
part of it is for this young lady is do you know how to set boundaries for yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Do you love the skin that you're in? You know, beginning things that we have been talking about in the beginning of the two-part the series here in part
Mm-hmm.
one and part two is learning to love the skin that you're in and learning to
Mm-hmm.
know the skin that you're in. We don't oftentimes do the work, male or female.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to put this on the female only. We don't often do the work that is
No.
necessary to actually enter good relationships because they take work. So both male and female guys, the question is asked to, you know, which path do you want to take? Where do you want to go? You know, and then, okay, so let's navigate our way from there. Go ahead. You were going to ask a question?
And I'm gonna ask a question, but I also want to be transparent. How many of us have a good relationship with ourselves? And
Mhm.
I don't mean it from this place of being like, I'm gonna go on a date because I don't really do that. I don't like to spend money, so I'm not really about to take myself on a date. That's not something I'm about to do. That's just how
Yes,
I am. I think
yes,
that's
I'm
whack.
already saying that.
I think that's whack. I think that's lame. I think it's stupid. I'm not about to take myself out on a date. But
Mhm.
do I do things daily that I enjoy just because I enjoy it?
Mhm.
And that if it has a dollar sign to it or not, if it
Mhm.
has some gratification to it or not, do I have a good relationship with myself? Can I look myself in the mirror and be like, you know what, you kind of cute? You know, do I have moments where I enjoy dressing myself up and then love the way
Mhm.
I look? Do I have moments where I can look at my house and know that it's a reflection of me and be like, you're a bad boy? You know, do I have those moments with self? And if I don't have those moments with self, it will be difficult to have those moments with somebody else because the Bible says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Or
Mhm.
love, you know, a husband is to love his wife as Christ loved the church. As much as the reflection of his love of her is supposed to be for his love of self. So if he doesn't know how to love himself, he won't know how to love her.
Mhm.
So, real talk, and hopefully I didn't jump in too hard, but just want to keep it out there. Like, if you don't do things that are naturally you, and you can't say this to yourself, it's gonna be hard to compliment somebody every day. Hey, boo, your booty's cute in them jeans. It's gonna be awkward to do because you don't do it for yourself.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
And I found that being more of an issue in my relationships than anything else. I'm sorry. Because I don't take myself on dates, so I ain't really good on the dating world. I don't know how often,
Right.
and then I'm cheap. You know.
Yeah, but we won't talk about that. We have a couple of people that have joined us from the two different areas that we were streaming. So if you have questions, please put your questions in the chat, and we will be more than happy to answer them, either from the male or female perspective. So I'm going to go on further, Bri, with you. And go a little further in questioning about this living this single life from a male
Mhm.
perspective. So we've talked about finances, we've talked about the past, we've talked about, a couple of different self-love, self-worth aspects.
We didn't exactly talk about finances, but go ahead.
Well, mentioned, yes, okay, we
2 seconds.
mentioned finances, but since you want to go there, let's bring up that question. How important is finances in dating? Like, where, at what aspect do I need to be having that conversation, or am I just observing at that time what your financial habits are, or should I even be bothered with it because we're just not at that place? Now, I know what I've spoken to and how I've worked with individuals and said, what is your financial? Stop looking at somebody else's. What are your financial habits? Do you even
Yeah.
have any? Do you know about investing? Do you know about savings? Do you know about what things are worth and when to buy and say, it's time now to buy this because it's an investment versus, spending all your money every time you get your paycheck and don't even know what you paid for. So, the individual financing is very key. And I'm going to be really transparent because for me, for a while, I was not in the space of taking care of my finances at all. My brother can tell you. He got on my nerves, he yelled, he screamed, he carried on. And eventually, but it took for me at that time to get my emotions together before I can get my finances together because they were linked with each other.
Right.
And I didn't have the discipline to make sure it happened. When I got the discipline to take care of myself and to move in the right direction, then we have a better financial output. So instead of coming to, and this goes on either side, guys do it
Mm-hmm.
to girls and girls do it to guys. Hey, what you bringing to the table? And they don't even got their stuff half together. The person asking the question. So, they don't even have it all. They don't have nothing together, and especially the aspect that they're talking about, they don't even have that together.
Nah,
So,
no, majority of them don't.
what is some of the things that you would say from a male perspective to say, here, these are some things, women, as regards to finances that we should be looking at. Not if they got a job, what car did they drive, how do you handle money?
So I'm gonna go old school, and I think old school in some regards is the best school. So let me get in trouble for a second. Pay for yourself. Uh, I'm gonna tell all females. I know some of y'all in college. I know some of y'all in high school. I know some of y'all X, Y, and Z. But wherever you are, grown woman, not grown woman, yada yada yada. Maintain the reality that your presence, your investment, and your individuality that must be made a unity has to be earned. Has to be. That it's even a privilege to pay for me at a date, for me to trust you that much. Not that someone should expect something from you because they bought your time.
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
So whether
Mm-hmm.
you are at the bar, whether you at the club, whether you at the grill, whether you at the brunch, I don't care if you at the bed and breakfast, pay for half of your way, pay for your way. No specific way, because it will become aware to him where you are able to go, where you aren't able to go. It'll spark a lot of those things. What kind of restaurant you like, what kind of food you don't like. That little meticulous stuff that seems nitpicky and maybe offensive, man, bump it. If it offends him, cool. He ain't the
Mm-hmm.
one.
Mm-hmm.
Offend that dude. Uh,
Right.
but real talk. And I don't care, and it also lets them know, for where you are in your life, you don't have options. But
Right.
you do have options. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I have the
Mm-hmm.
option to take care of myself. and have the option to never feel owned or owed to anyone anything. But
Right.
in the same inverse, I am an individual that has their preferences, and no one can run my life just because they were able to run some dollars or a credit card across a swipe. Now, with that being said, in regards to how important finances are, it's individual.
Right.
Individuals value finances differently, even work ethic and hustles differently. And
Right.
based upon the type of individual you are, determines. I think a safe space is 2 months. 2 months for real, to really begin to even assert or bring up the concept. 2 to 3 months to even assert or bring up the concept of financial presence or security. Natasha don't agree with it. Um, I respect that. But even to be curious, that it's even a topic or a concern, I think that is major. I think something that will cause that to wait longer is you taking care of your bills,
Right.
in essence of your lunch, your dinner, your movie. You
Right.
paying for your own ticket, etc., etc. I believe that'll buy you time so that it won't be as awkward or early of a conversation.
Yeah.
Um, but I believe it's just a real conversation, and that's just me. I say 2 to 3 months because um, I'm just gonna let you know.
So you can get yourself in trouble today. So let's move on. My brother has a perception of people. Like he has the gift to discernment. He can tell a mind, this is how this person is. This is how this person is. So I want to bring up a scenario with you, and I need you to talk about your thoughts. So we were somewhere. I can't say where, because of privacy reasons. And this female just walks in, and your whole face just turned like you were mad. And his comment was, I don't understand why our females have to act in this manner. You know what I'm talking about? Do I need to give
No.
more details?
Yes. What are we
so,
talking about?
so the female, we were sitting down and we were eating. I don't remember if Greg was with us or not. But the female came in very just loud, very dressed in a, how did they say, what's the terminology? Ratchet manner, for
Mm-hmm.
lack of a better way of saying that. No disrespect to anyone. Just I can't find a word to say it. Just loud. Um,
Mm-hmm.
he was on the phone,
Mm-hmm.
and my brother was just like, like
Yeah,
hair
me.
was done, nails were done, shoes, but most of it, you can tell it was, more internal, and just I was just like, the conversation alone just threw me off. It wasn't even about the outfit at that point. So this is what we're encountering, and we're trying to eat somewhere, and nobody is that loud. We're all in a restaurant in a public
I
environment.
think I remember now.
Your face just went from left to right, and I was like, okay, do we need to go? So, but your comment was, why do our females need to be in this manner?
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. I mean, it's a topic of what are you compensating for, and it's not to be rude or mean. Um, uh, 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 and it's not to diminish anybody's extrovertness or anything of that nature. But if you're a baddie regardless, whether your
Right.
mouth is open or whether it's closed. Um, and so I always have the demeanor of annoyed, predominantly because um, the bombasticness is a cover up. It's a security. It's a shell, and it's a cry. It's as much as it's a cup that is broken. It's one that needs to be filled. And so the engagement is, let me show you how pretty my cup is. While at the same time, I need somebody to validate that the cup is pretty. And it's just so much going on. And the part that irritates me is not the fact that um, I'm gonna say I'm just gonna give you a try. It's not even the fact that they're that way. The problem is that it works, and that's the part that annoys me, is that it's validated. And then the other part that annoys me is like, just the idea of like, that kind of person blames everybody else but does not take self accountability for what's going on, and
Mm,
it can be really really frustrating, because I even myself was that person,
yeah, understood. Yeah,
and
I can.
and and
I was there too.
yeah. I must, like, let me not be the bougie dude that knows it all. I myself is that dude.
Right.
And I've gotten to the place now where certain levels of energy are not even worth my not even worth my investment. I'm just like, I just want to drink my cup of coffee and eat my pancake. I'm straight. Like,
So,
I just want to do my thing.
so we have a couple people who have joined us. So as you come in, if you have any
Yay.
questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat. We have about 10 minutes left, and I try not to keep too long. But if the discussion calls for it, we'll go ahead and answer the questions as they come in. And thank you for being here. So I was brought another question when I said that I was going to have a male on board. How important is it that a woman has herself together? And when I want to be very specific, as far as being minded of being domesticated or being career minded, how important, because we're in an age where I might not be able, well, I know how to cook, but there's some women who have other gifting, other talents, which will make them rounded in that area. And there's some things, because we're learning to give and take and we're learning to come together. And I've learned that different relationships calls for different things. But in as a male, for you or in general, I'd rather you speak, what makes them key? Is it background? Is it running from background? Is just personal likes? What's key? Because to generalize everybody would be wrong. We
True.
know that. So everybody doesn't think the way, and it depends on background. I have a Jamaican background. Brian is Southern American, which to me, there ain't no real difference in that West Indian and that American
We
Southern.
just talk different, shouty. We just talk different. We just talk different.
Especially when we talk about upbringing and,
Oh yeah.
you
We
know,
real like, yeah, yeah.
so there's
Yeah.
not a lot of difference there. But, coming from the male perspective, and, I'm, a career minded female. I've already had your two nieces, and, they're graduated,
Yeah.
college, gone, whatever.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
looking for someone now for me would be different than who your age group would be looking for, to now set that family in place. What becomes important? Is age also a factor in that?
No, for me, hey mom, no, hey auntie, no. So for me, wow. Anyway, no,
So whatever.
for me, I couldn't help it. I had to get the tiger out. I had to get the cougar out.
Nah,
No, for me, it's a bigger topic of, are you secure? Are you secure in yourself in that? Do you know what you are and what you aren't? That will solve half the battle, because it will determine predominantly what you look for and what you know won't work.
Mhm.
That is more major now than anything else. I can say on several occasions, I cook better than the females that I've dated.
Sorry, that is true. I actually can say that is true. That is very true.
And then because I'm Southern and got a country family and background, there's just some things I'm special at. And I don't cook
Mhm.
everything better than the woman I'm with. I'm just special at certain stuff, right? And so the reality of it is that cooking is not a big topic, depending upon the man, but I would say it's more so depending upon the person knowing yourself to articulate you can cook or you can't.
Mhm.
I think that matters more, because that will cause you less friction, and than the awkward male female dynamic. It causes you less friction than whose career are we choosing on this family discussion or family move, or who drives the family. The partnership aspect of it. What parts yield what to who. Some women now, because of their very business-minded nature and the way they've been groomed, are not nurturing. And
Mhm.
some men nowadays are more pusillanimous than macho. And so as a result, we tend to be extremely kind and thoughtful, and make period emergency packs and diabetic sugar bags and throw them in cars until my wife has a low moment or starts in an awkward place. The male today has shifted. The quintessential male today has shifted, and I don't believe one's right or wrong. I believe the emphasis needs to be on who are you and making sure that you pair yourself with someone who knows who they are,
Mhm.
so that when they say something about themselves, they're not lying to themselves, and therefore don't deceive you. No more than are you in a position that you jump for someone that seems to have something that you don't have, and it's just because you don't have it. So then, after you know yourself, I think there's two things that you must do. You must be humble. You must stay hungry.
Mm. Mm.
Hungry to learn.
Mhm.
Humble to not price yourself out of the market.
Right.
I believe Instagram, Snapchat, some Facebook
Talk
posts
about it.
have
Talk about
priced people out of the market. It
it.
seems so difficult for a woman that goes on a Groupon vacation every year
Yes.
or every quarter or every 6 months. It
Not
seems so
anymore.
difficult for the cheap Negro as myself, right, to feel comfortable to engage a
Right.
woman of that stature because that's what she's giving off.
Right.
Now, it's also an insecurity of mine to think that that is something that makes me unqualified.
Mhm.
But that's the reality of humanity, right? Like, we would like to talk in a perfect world, but let's just keep it real. Bros is as insecure as females are, but we're insecure about different things. And whereas your insecurity may be about your body, ours may be the ability to provide and or maintain images or the illusion of happiness.
Mhm.
And so with those informations out there, it can be very outsourced. I mean, good Lord, I see dudes driving, you know, really nice cars, living in really nice neighborhoods, don't know their portfolio. But that can be incredibly intimidating. Then when they dress the way they do, or they work out the way they do, and it doesn't come with a humble, cool, hungry spirit, it can be very, very, very attractive. But it can price you out of the market flat out and put you in a position, when you have all these Facebook posts and statuses that talk about the type of man you need, what you deserve. It can price you, man. It can price you out of the market quick. And the humble dude with a bus pass may pass you on by and be sitting there with pockets as fat as Warren Buffett.
I'm done.
I ain't lied, because that's me. But I ain't got no fat pockets, but it's the principle.
Um, we are running out of time. I don't see any questions here. So I have one last one that was sent in an email. So, as a male perspective, coming into COVID, how is dating now? How we're supposed to navigate with dating. You can't trust the internet before COVID. You couldn't trust it now. So, now it's even worse because people got time.
They
They got
got time.
time.
Uh,
They have time. What is your perspective as a male in regards to dating online?
yeah. Um, cool. Dating online. I mean,
Podcast?
cool. I mean, the world is so much more virtual now, whereas that was a crazy concept in 2006 and seven. Literally, I think the 7 degrees of separation has probably turned down to five now,
Right.
due to just virtual world. But I just put it out there, man. I mean, do it if you feel comfortable, but you know, what if I just kind of I think it still is a person thing. I think it's a very individual thing. Uh, I still say don't buy a house. Don't make a 30-year commitment off of a 1 hour experience. Make sure that you are intentionally thoughtful. Uh, Test people's levels of creativity. Be honest with yourself and with others. Don't expect much. There's a very human concept of being face to face. For those of us who are different. I mean, heck, all of us now online date between the people we met for 15 minutes at a bar to following it on Instagram. We all kind of do that now, unfortunately. So there's a
Mm-hmm.
side of me, it's kind of like it's not as taboo. But then
Mm-hmm.
there's the other side. Still be careful, man. People can put up whatever they want to put up online. And
Mm-hmm.
y'all know what Tinder and Grindr and Bustle, y'all know what all them things are. Don't be acting dumb. Y'all know what it is. That's a hookup site. That's what let's not be stupid. Let's not put let me say this.
Mm-hmm.
Do not put yourself in a position where you got to be crafty to get out of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's in
Amen.
person and in virtual. Do not
Yes.
put yourself in a position where you got to be crafty or skillful to get out of it.
So, as we're about to close, I have three comments and three recommendations for young ladies. I want you to give your three. What would you give to females? Three things from a male's perspective. Three things on living single. Just three. Any three. And I know what I'm asking when I give you like the floor wide open in the box. But any three. Any three things. If you said, this is what I had to say to females, what are the three things you would say?
Clarify. When you say something, explain it. And then ask them, what do you think I just said? Clarify. As a matter of fact, clarify may cover them all. Number two, uh, actually, clarify would take you a really long way. Like, let me say that right now. Clarify. What did I just say? Okay, now what do you think that means? Like, make sure that it is clear. Clarify. Number two,
I'm laughing because I do that with him. That's the only reason why I do
clarify.
it.
Number two, and this is something that I really jumped in. It's a three-part session, right? Do your best
Yeah.
all the time. When you don't, apologize.
Hmm.
You owe nobody nothing else. Do your best when you fail at it and you have a moment where you're human. Apologize. You owe nobody nothing else. From political correctness to how they interpret it, da, 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 da. Do your best. Apologize when you don't, and you owe them nothing else. Men, females, and yourself, do your best. When you fail, apologize and realize you owe yourself nothing else but to go back to step one. Do your best.
What's the last
Number
one?
three, go to church on time. They'll be like, boom.
Really?
No, for real, man. No, high key. If you have a relationship with the Lord, I'm not gonna be super holy. I mean, whatever your moral, ethical system is, man, feed into that thing, right? I don't care if you're Hindu, Buddhist, whatever you are, man. Feed into that thing. And when you find people that itch those principles the wrong way, jump off. Jump off the bridge, jump out the game, jump onto a new railroad track. Hey, hop off and get footworthy. Just walk your way to wherever you need to go. Jump out. And here's the reason why. My mom told me the longer you wait to do something, the harder it'll be.
Always. Somebody needed to hear that. That's watching tonight. They know who they are, but I won't call
The
them
longer
out.
you wait to the longer you
Yeah.
wait to do something, the harder it will be. And I'm gonna tell you right now, when people give you certain things, you're like, oh, okay. All right, well, may the Lord watch between me and thee while we are absent one from another. Amen. I mean, for real. Feel no shame about it, right? Because you know what? Here's my best. My best is that's not the road I'm traveling.
Right.
I apologize for the time that you may feel is wasted. And
Right.
unfortunately, I was all in, I was down like four flat tires
Right.
until
Mhm.
you told me that. And that is enough for me to respectably say, I don't think this is meant for me anymore. God bless you.
Mhm. Mhm. I love those three. My three are self-care is so important
Agreed.
for you to take care of
Care
yourself,
of yourself. That's
mind,
that.
body, and soul. Because a lot of times we'll get into relationship and we put that on our significant other to try to, but it's our responsibility to have had the discipline or the know-how on how to do it from the beginning. Self-care is of the utmost importance. Number two, enjoy the moment. Whatever relationship you get in, as long as it's not abusive and physically harmful to you or spiritually or emotionally abusive to you. And this is just a relationship, whether it ended out good, whether it ended out bad, enjoy the moments that you have. That's going to be key, no matter at the ending, because you're going to learn something or miss something if you
Mm-hmm.
just don't take the time. Just enjoy the moments. You out on a
Mm-hmm.
date, and I'm going to give an example. You out on a date, whether it took a lot of planning to be there or it was, hey, let's just go
Last
out.
minute.
This last minute. Enjoy the moment. We sometimes want to criticize
Oh,
so much
God.
the person, the finances, the environment, the aroma, and we miss the part. I just want to spend time with you. I just want to spend some quality time with you. It might not be the best place at all, depending on where we're at, but I just enjoy the moment. The last thing I want to say is be very sure on where you want to go before you attach to another person. Because when you are unsure and or it's due to trauma, due to broken spaces in your life, due to whatever the reason are, you're
Mm-hmm.
unsure. You now can break that person. You now can hurt that person. You now can confuse that person, or you shouldn't be having anybody at all, depending on what it is, until you
Mm-hmm.
figure it out, because you're taking somebody else on a roller coaster ride where you don't know when that roller coaster is going to stop. So it is very key that you start saying, I know where I'm going, and understand life may cause that goal of where you're going to either be detoured for a minute or whatever the case may be, but know where you're going so you can have a better focus and you won't be picking up the trash, excuse me, the bad people, excuse me, I'm sorry, the
Hey,
the
watch yourself.
my brother's rubbing off on me. The not people who should be in your life. Let me say
Watch
that.
yourself.
Okay, that's it. That's where I'm going. I'm gonna stay
Because
there because
sometimes people are a reflection of you. So,
yes, the
and
inside.
I can,
You are attracted to that stuff inside. You not trying to fix,
and let's
but you
all be
can
honest,
fix
we
it.
all been thoughts before, we all been trash before,
All
okay?
of us.
All of us have had a thought and a trash moment.
Yes,
Ta-da.
we have had. We
You ain't exempt and you ain't special for being a
no.
thought or trash.
But what did you learn from that episode?
How to
What did you
recycle.
learn? I'm dead. What? No. No, that's not what you. What'd you learn?
That's
How
what you
did you?
learn. You learn how to recycle. You learn how not to be trash no more. You better turn rags
How
and
did
riches in
you?
Jesus' name.
How did you take care of yourself? What did you learn from that moment, and what did you move on? We have had all had hurtful and painful experiences. However, and whatever the reason are why you are single, while you're here, and I've been saying this from day
Mm-hmm.
one, it is a
Mm-hmm.
time of investigating, exploring, and loving all that is you. I want to
Mm-hmm.
thank my crazy brother for coming on tonight. Thank you for coming here and spending this little time with me. I'm sure sometime in the future, like
Yeah.
way future, we'll have a couple of us on and we'll talk about, have a couple of meals so the buddies can get together and we can do this. But I want to thank you for sharing from the male perspective.
Indeed.
You can contact Pastor Stewart at the following below if you need him for speaking engagements. He is in College Hill SDA Church in Knoxville, Tennessee. Call it the Church on the Hill. So it's an amazing church. I've been there several times. Love it, love it, love it. Family's there. Or he's on Instagram at 2B Stewart for other questions. He is a speaker of many topics, gifted in building churches and building relationships. So yeah, he just got the intern of the year award. I'm sorry, I'm talking about my brother. Yes, I'm proud. I'm taking my moment. I'm proud.
It's like calling the conference's #1 prostitute. That's what it was.
I'm so proud of him and all the hard work that he is doing. It's not easy being single. It's not easy to do the things that we need to do. And Lynn is on here, my girl. Yeah, she's backing me up. She's saying, very gifted. See, I can have my big sister moment. I'm proud. But I want to say thank you very much for everybody coming on tonight and sharing. Please share and like this event. It is on YouTube, so it can be shared. I do know Empowered Group is just in a private group and it's exclusive, but I wanted to bring products just for you because you decided to be a member and a group member of MpoweredMe. We want to thank you for coming tonight, and I'm gonna lead us out with our commercial, and we're gonna say bye to Bri, and next week we're gonna have a couple of females and we're gonna have girl talk. So invite your male friends and your female friends, and we're going to have girl talk on different aspects of being strong and being empowered as we're about to close out our Women's Celebration Month. Thank you so much for being with us, and make sure you come back again. See you later. We are learning to heal